Hello, if you're joining us on YouTube, welcome to Photo Tips Monthly for August with Jim Landers of Landers Photography School. We'll be starting in about 15 minutes. So if you want, go grab your snacks, list out your questions. We'll be glad to help you. If you're joining on YouTube, you can use the live chat right there, and we'll be following along and relay any of your questions to Jim. Also, if you are watching on Zoom, if you like, just hit that chat button as well, and we'll get to a breaking point in Jim's presentation that you can ask questions. So we'll be starting in a few minutes. And I may not have had that mute on. All right, guys, welcome. We are going to be starting Photo Tips Monthly in about 15 minutes, 4 p.m. Central Time here in San Antonio, Texas. We'll be joining Jim Landers with, again, for Photo Tips Monthly, Discover Your Niche. And if you're joining on YouTube, just use your chat button right there, the live comments there. We'll follow along and convey those over to Jim. If you are going to be joining us on Zoom, same thing, you can go log on to your Final Works account. There is a link to the Zoom there as well. All right. So we'll be right back up to start the thing in about 15 minutes. Hi there, Jim. How you doing?
Good. Melissa, how are you doing?
Good. I'm getting off my checklist here and getting us all set up.
It's like you're the pilot on an airplane. We're about to take off. You're going through your checklist, make sure everything's right.
I do that way I don't forget something.
Smart.
I've, I've learned though I can forget the checklist too though sometimes.
Yeah, you know what? We're alike in that. I think
Mm,
it's important to have a checklist, but I don't always do it.
yeah,
Thank you.
it's an off-road checklist, so
Mhm.
let's see. I think we have James there. Let's get him in. Now I'm going to turn here. And there's James.
Jim,
James, how are you doing?
the incredible Jim Landers this time.
You have a different hairdo.
Yeah, it's just
Can you put that up in a mohawk?
no, it's just trimmed really short on the sides.
Does it make it easier to get ready in the morning? The
Uh,
shorter it is?
yeah.
Or that's not the motivation at all. What are you talking about?
Especially compared to, a few years back. It's much easier. Hey,
You looked like Fabio a few years back.
long. Hey, did you get all the prints you needed?
We're almost done there. We have the prints are all done. Brian D is finishing up the frames and we'll be mounting that 16 by 24 today, hopefully. So
Okay.
by tomorrow, hopefully everything is ready for pickup.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm going to, I don't think I'll be here tomorrow. I got to go out to California.
Again?
Yeah. Either Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember which.
Mm,
Uh, I think it's Sunday, actually. So I'll be gone all next week.
okay.
Looking at
No
some
fire.
real estate deals or something?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
I don't know if I should say I wish or not because it's so expensive over there.
Mhm. You can move
No,
into a nice place in Compton for probably what your house is worth here.
yeah. Um, no, we're just kind of getting away this time, just taking the children and the niece and all that good
And you
stuff.
know which beaches not to take them to now, right?
Yes,
Jay?
yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Yep.
I went to the
I
wrong.
saw that story.
Was,
Wait, what is that? What am I looking at? Oh,
yeah,
Vacation trips,
three or four
pre-scout
weeks
out your
ago, I was
beaches.
like, oh yeah, this beach looked really nice from way up on top of the cliffs. But
yeah.
I got noticed, maybe this is not the place to go. Did have a little bit of a hippie vibe just on my way down there. I should have kind of realized that. Man, these are a bunch of old hippies going down these. What's about
This
this
is
beach?
this is why you scout out your locations ahead of time, huh?
Hmm.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was doing, and
That that's proactive parenting there, James. Give you a round of applause for that one. Okay, so we are about 4 minutes and we have about 5 people joining us on YouTube. So if you're joining us on YouTube, guys, you can use that live chat there. We'll relay those questions over to Jim for you. And opening up the waiting room here on our Zoom. And if you do want to participate in the Zoom, just log on to your Final Works account. We have the Zoom link there for you. I'm going to go ahead and get ready to put Jim with some host control here, so that way you can share your screen. So let me put that over. I can find it. Make host. There we are. All right.
There's
And-
the handout if anybody would want it.
Okay, got that in the chat. Let me just download that. That way I can kind of post it up there.
My dog is just right here in and around my legs. Now he's wandering off. I was wondering how long it was going to take him to move. He's a big husky. Oh, he's coming back. What is that, bud?
He wants to be co-host.
Baby, you want to come say hi? Yeah. Yeah, come say hi.
Ah,
Buddy. What you doing? What you doing? Look at the camera. Look over here. What is it? Did I spill
I
something?
did a-
He wants to be a co-host. That's what
Yeah.
Melissa's saying.
wants to be a co-host. Ham it up. Needs his own Instagram, YouTube channel.
Right?
You'll be
Get him a
surprised.
TikTok.
Pets get the most like followers and everything, you know. So,
He has his own TikTok, but I only did it for like 2 weeks and then I stopped doing it. It was right at the beginning of the quarantine when we were like, well, what do we do? So I made a TikTok for him called Adventures with Gray.
there you go. So if y'all want to follow Gray there,
Yeah.
maybe Jim will get on there. Let's see. This file does not exist in the path. Okay, I think it might need you to put that presentation one more time.
Sure thing.
Getting an error when I click on it. Maybe
Are you
starting-
back? Are you back? You usually don't spend that much time over here. All right. That went okay over there again. Do you see it?
Yeah, I think I got to see if we got it. Okay, I think that went.
Hi, Robin. Hi, Alyssa.
And we got our Zoom participants joining in. Alyssa is always a great supporter there.
Hello, Jim.
I'm glad you're here.
I'm printing I like printouts.
handouts? Yeah. I know you do. That's right.
Guess I should get on the video.
And Jim, if you want to on your video, just go ahead and pin yourself, I think, or put speaker view maybe. That way, when you do get to share it, it's showing just a tight shot of your screen.
Speaker view.
Okay, the file's not there.
Try the second one. I had the first hard time with the first one.
Let me see. Yeah, I tried the second one too.
Okay, let me try putting it in here. And I will try for mine. You know what? I think it gave me 0 on there when I downloaded it.
Do it again?
I tried.
I'll send it again. It's a
Me too.
PDF.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it says network disconnect or something on there.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting to. If you'll email that over to me,
Yeah.
Jim,
I can
I
do
can try
that.
doing this a couple of ways. You just send it over to either whichever email you have. I think you have the finerworks.sm, whichever one you have. I'll get it.
Yeah, I've got the SLM one. Social media. Don't
Mhm.
anybody get any weird ideas.
We'll get started. And while Jim is getting that started up, James, did you want to give an intro to Jim here?
Yes. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we are excited to have our favorite photographer, Jim Landers of Landers Photography School, formerly of Landers Photography. Jim has been both a full-time photographer as well as a photography instructor for, well, instructor for going on about 2 decades now. Is that right? And then
I started teaching in 97.
yeah, so and he's been a full-time photographer. Well, he does. I guess now he's more of a part-time photographer, but
Yeah,
he,
it's true. It switched.
yeah, it kind of switched. So, but he's been doing photography since the 80s, the 1880s.
That's
No.
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew George Eastman.
Yes. And we're excited to have Jim as our to co-host with us Photo Tips Monthly. It's something that we at Prina Works along with Landers Photography School put together to give the viewers an opportunity to get a whole photography class, a whole course wrapped up in an hour and a half. And I mean, and it's not just, we're not just rushing through it. Jim's really going into detail and gives you the opportunity to learn a lot about photography. Now we post these on YouTube, that even though they're broadcasted on YouTube Live, you can always go back and watch them. And it's great information for any new photographer, experienced photographers even, if you're trying to start a photography business, or you're an artist and you're ready to pick up a camera as a way to improve your art skills or to capture your art. A lot of artists, painters, have an affinity for photography as well. And it teaches you about composition. It teaches you lots of techniques that you may not have thought about carrying over into your art. So anyway, without further ado, let's welcome Jim Landers.
Ooh, me?
Yeah.
Thank you, James. I appreciate that. And you know, he's right. And you guys know this. There's a lot of artists who have lots of different mediums that they enjoy. They may have one that they really spend the most amount of time with, and that may change over time. But photography is one of those things that kind of crosses over. And that reminds me, one time I was judging an art competition, no, an art show, and there were 3 judges, and obviously I'm a photographer, but the other 2 were painters. And so we're going through and looking at all this, and they aren't separated by medium. It's an overall kind of an award. And so there are sculptors there, there's glass work, there's of course paintings, there's photography, there's several different mediums, of expression for art. And we are supposed to pick our favorites from all these different mediums, which was unusual because I'd never judged a show that wasn't about photography before. I've judged lots of photography stuff, but never one that included other forms of art. And so it's kind of fun for me for that experience. But there was also something kind of interesting about it. And that's one of my favorite pieces of art, it touched me the most, was a photograph. And I don't know that I'm anymore, when it comes to art, it's just, how does it make me feel? The medium is a secondary thing. But one of them I judged really high, and the other 2 judges kind of looked at me and said, but, do you really want to, lift this up to the level of a painting? I don't know how to react to this. But the truth is, if you're doing photography well, the way it's supposed to be done, it is a very time-consuming process. Now, you're not laying down every single brushstroke in an image. But for me, when I was doing photography full time, I specialized in family portraits, emotional family portraits, as home decor. And it would take me a total of 21 hours to complete one family portrait. Now, I don't know how long it takes to complete a painting of one family portrait. It wouldn't surprise me if it's a lot longer than that. But I think most artists who use other mediums other than photography are surprised at how much time good photography takes. We're not talking about snapshots. We're not talking about something that you can do with your awesome cell phone. Nope. Real portraiture, something that's an heirloom that's going to sit on the wall for generations. Something that when the family, mom walks past it, she cries tears of joy every time she sees it. That kind of art that touches you, that makes you feel, takes time. And I think all artists know that, no matter what their medium. So I'm glad you brought that up, James. Thought made me think of something else. You didn't know I was going to bring you back into that, did you? You know what? I'm going to buy you a light because you are a fantastic silhouette. And Alyssa, I noticed that you could use a light too.
James likes the backlight kind of things.
Oh, you don't need me to buy you one. You've got one.
Yeah, he likes the boss look, where
that was on purpose.
Yeah,
that's funny.
A little DC comic going on over there.
Okay. So he'd rather be Charlie of Charlie and the Angels. Okay, got it. Just a voice in a shadow. Thanks, James. And Melissa, you do a lot to help make this and a whole lot of other things happen. So I want to make sure you know that you're appreciated by artists and photographers, the artist community, because of all you do to lift us up. And so we appreciate all the work that you do to make that happen. The tireless work that, you're in pain and you still keep on keeping on. You rock. I love it.
Walk it off. Well, we do have your presentation up in the chat as a Google Doc link now. I don't know why the file wasn't opening. Even when I downloaded it, it was giving me 0 kilobytes in it. So I'll keep putting the link in there. And it is the link for the presentation is also on YouTube under the live chat. So anybody following us on YouTube, you can see the presentation there as well.
Nice.
Mine's printing right now.
Yay. All right. So the Photo Tips monthly show, live streamed, guess what? Monthly, is the first Thursday of every single month. And it's a different topic every single time. And we just present it and share it. And I encourage you to participate. Those of you who are here on Zoom, ask a question. It may be best asked in chat. It may be best interrupting me. I'm fine with that, by the way. I like interaction. I know some of you have been in classes with me before, and you probably realize that. You probably knew about it right away. I want there to be interaction, but however you feel it's appropriate, either in chat or just unmuting yourself and asking your question. It's perfect. Those of you who are watching on YouTube, please put your questions, comments in the and also make sure that you like and subscribe and hit that little bell so you know when the next time something's coming up on the Finer Works YouTube page. So those of you who are on YouTube, ask your questions there. Melissa's monitoring those. And so some of those will be able to be brought onto this class, and we could address those things. So I definitely encourage your participation, not just watching. I guess you can just do that, but I like the interaction. I like knowing your thoughts and your questions. I think they're valuable. But today we are here to talk about discovering your niche or niche, however you choose to say it. I just call it niche. I'm from here in San Antonio. I don't need anything fancy. So discover your niche. I'm going to share the screen, my screen with you so you can see what it is that I'm looking at. You should be able to see that now. So just in case you don't have that download, you can still see what it is we're talking about. So discovering your niche. This is a marketing seminar. A lot of the topics that we do on the Photo Tips Monthly are on the photography side about using the photography tools. This is a marketing tool. And so it helps us to narrow our focus so that we can share with the world what it is we do, and we can become really good at what it is that we do. For photographers, I don't know about other mediums, But I believe it is extremely difficult to be successful if you do everything. Now, this is just this one guy's opinion. You don't have to agree with it. You can agree with pieces and parts. But I have found that those who specialize and do it correctly, by the way, I've come across those who aren't doing it correctly, but those who are doing it correctly really do well. And they get the attention and appreciation of other photographers who will send them business, not just when they have overflow clients, but will genuinely think that this person is really good at what they do. They're better than me. They are a better tool. And I care about my client enough to where it's not about the dollars. It's about getting my client what is best for them. By the way, if you're taking on jobs simply because of the money, you are a prime candidate for narrowing your focus to do just the things that bring you joy, excitement, that power and encourage your passion and your dedication. As a photographer, you can press the shutter release button in front of anything, but you can't get known by your target market if everything is what you do. It's too general. Do you feel like everyone is your potential client? Do you think that you're an expert in every single thing there is to do in the art medium that you've chosen? Do you believe that this cliche is wrong, that you can be a master of all trades? A successful person knows when to say no. It's not just a feeling. They actually know, K-N-O-W, when to say no, N-O. And it's not because of a bad attitude. It's quite the opposite. It's because they know what is best for themselves as an artist and a business person, and what is best for their target market. Let's define real quickly what target market is. It's just the clients that are ideal for you, the people who you want to work with, the type of work that you want to do, and the person or group of people who receive the work that you do. That everything's in harmony, that you love this stuff. In general, you love this stuff. But photographers, I bet you anything, you have come across clients that wouldn't be in the perfect category.
Jim, you might want to enlarge your presentation just a little bit so on YouTube they can see any text.
Thank you. All right, so view. There it goes. Thank you for reminding me. Is that too big or just right? I can make it a little bit smaller. Oh, I can't see everything on my screen.
Yeah, you can probably make it a little smaller and it would be fine.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do 170.
Yeah. There you
That
go.
look good?
That looks great.
Yay. Thank you, Melissa. She's looking out for me. I need people to look out for me. So I was just saying, a successful person knows when to say no. So what kinds of photography do you like? What kinds are you good at? What are your current abilities? Photography knowledge, equipment, responsibilities. Maybe you're a photographer who feels like, I don't want to do weddings, but that's where the money is, so I'm going to do weddings. But you don't have to do that. In fact, I'd say that's the worst thing you could do. That's following money rather than your passion. Yes, I understand you need to bring in an income if this is your only income source. It is for me. Photography has been my only income source since 1991. Within a month of graduating from college, in case you're curious, it's Sam Houston State with a Bachelor of Science in Photography. Within a month of graduating from college, I was the photography manager at SeaWorld. So I wasn't independent then. I was an employee then. I became independent in 1995. So I've been full-time and self-employed since 1995, but I've been earning a living full-time in photography since 1991. And I learned everything the hard way, just like most photographers do. It's not the right way to do it. You can shave years of struggle off of your life by taking classes from people who know what it is and what it takes to do it. YouTube videos are awesome, but YouTube videos are a piece of good information here, a piece of good information there, a piece of good information here and here and here and here, all over the place. Yeah, all good piece of information. But the thing that YouTube lacks is structure. That's how we learn, is with structure, building one after the other. I mean, public school, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade. You don't get to go straight to 11th grade and then come back down to second and then to do kindergarten and then sixth. Well, that's how it is on YouTube, any order you want. There's another problem with YouTube, and that's you have to know the questions. Haven't you ever been in a situation where someone said, "Do you have any questions?" And you're thinking, I don't know enough about this subject to ask any questions yet. What that means is you have to know the questions if you're going to get the information on YouTube, but you don't know all the questions to ask. There are more things you're unknowledgeable about than you are knowledgeable. In other words, it's the difference between ignorance and knowledge. We, all humans, are much more ignorant than we are knowledgeable. That's why classes help. That's why structure helps. YouTube's awesome as secondary education. It doesn't work as primary. But photographers try to make it work because it sounds good, and it does. And there is good information there. But how many photographers are struggling? Most. Just to let you think about that. I recommend you do not waste your time pursuing things that you are not passionate about. Do what you love. And then make sure you plan a path to get to where you want to be. In this seminar, we're going to discover your passions, your likes, your interests. You'll narrow them down so you can focus on what is really most important. Those are the two things we're going to do. Choose your niche marketing seminar. Follow these 3 steps. Now, these are general. I'm going to be very specific here in just a moment. Define your interests. We're going to be talking more about that on page 3. Photography is just too broad a category. You must make a place for yourself in the minds of those who you want to work with. Number 2, what do you think you want to do? It's fine to have 27, 37, 82 different things you like when you're starting out. I guess it's fine. I mean, we have lots of interests. That's going to change, though, if you follow along with today's topic. Number 3, how to narrow the options. First, choose what matches your interests, and then pursue what you're most passionate about. Let's go into each one of these. First is define your interests. Obviously, photography, broad category. Broad. I mean, there isn't an area of your life that isn't touched by photography. Everything is. When's the last time you saw a website that didn't have photographs? A magazine? A billboard? Maybe some of those. All right. But photographs are everywhere. When you go to a hair salon, photographs. Grocery store, photographs. Restaurant, photographs. Everywhere, photographs. It's too broad a category. Yes, I can press the shutter just like you can in front of anything, but that doesn't mean that I am an expert at everything. I have the ability to do this in front of. We need to identify our interests and plan a path to match them to our photography. You should have a broad perspective of photography, and have a knowledge of a wide variety of skills, situations, equipment, lighting. But you must, in my opinion, choose a specialization. Sometimes that's more than one, but it's narrowed down from the 27 you might have right now. This will help you make a place for yourself in the minds of those you want to work with, which sets you up for the potential to succeed and become profitable. Generalist photographers are not the ones who get known, not the ones who become successful. The ones that you know of are very specific, or they're friends. But the ones that aren't friends that you know, it's because they are newborn photographers. They are wedding photographers. They are family portrait photographers. They're specific. We need to chase our passions, not dollars. The dollars will chase us if you've done a good job of chasing your passions. Now, that's in the don't category. Don't chase the money. Don't worry that others are better than you. You know what, photographers? You do some things that are detrimental to your well-being. One of those is compare. Stop comparing. It's not a race. It's not a contest between you and other photographers. Even when it comes to pricing, it's interesting and it's a curiosity to know what other photographers charge, but it's an irrelevant variable. This isn't a commodity. In fact, the only person for a photographer, for commissioned photographers who are doing collaborative work with their clients, they only have a potential to sell what they create to one. Where other types of art, let's say you're creating photography as a speculative, you're going on vacation, you create a bunch of amazing images, you put them on a stock photography website. You can sell those images to lots of people. But portrait photographers have an audience of one person, one family, one couple, one. You create a family portrait. Can you sell that to the next family that comes along? No. What you are creating is unique. There's one family that you can sell this to, and that's it. It isn't a commodity. It isn't something you can resell multiple times. That's why the price is so high when done correctly. There's other reasons too. Don't expect things to work in a short period of time. It takes time to get people to understand what it is you're trying to accomplish. But there's ways to make it shorter. And don't take the advice of those who have never experienced what it is you want. There's a lot of people who will share advice with you. Don't discount it, but also don't let it sink in. Be nice to the people who are giving you advice. But take advice and seek advice from those who have already experienced what it is you want. Number one, I want you to make a general list of all the things you like, not in photography, but other areas of your life. Now, this is something you might have to do after this class because I'm not really going to give you enough time to accomplish this task. But the things you like to do, the things that get you excited, the things that you aspire to do, the things that make you proud, the things that you maybe want for others, and the things that you feel that you can't live without. Make a general list of all the things not photography related that you're interested in, that you're passionate about, that you value. Make a list.
And
We're
that's
going to pair
for
these things
artists
up.
too, as well, Jim. I think when artists are trying to come on and figure out what do you want to paint, when you sit in front of a blank canvas as well, there are certain artists you pick up on knowing the subject can be the signature style. Same thing with photography. If you look at like Annie Leibovitz, Ann Geeds, Ansel Adams, when you see one of their photos, the subject is all the signature almost right there. They branch out, there's other stuff, but it's like that one, like you're saying, the niche that they just kind of are known for, kind of gets them the celebrated name. And I think artists also can apply this here, is when you're trying to come up with your your signature style and stuff, not only your technique in painting, but it can sometimes be your subject matter as well.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Glad you brought that up.
so if somebody says they like baking and cupcakes or cooking, I have a friend who owned a cooking store for a long time and is doing her own cooking, but her photographs that she started doing of the things are so amazing because she uses like old school Mexican and Indian cookware to do these, and she's photographed them so beautifully. I'm like, wow, these belong in restaurants or something. So Melissa Guerra has amazing photos, and why she used to be, she used to do also product photography of the stuff that would come in her store, but she's done such a good job with these. I mean, I was telling her, do you sell the prints? I'd love to have these for friends cooking, that love to cook and put them in their kitchens. And again, I told her that I think it's just a perfect niche for her to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds, I like that. Thanks for adding that. I appreciate it.
Your passions, like you're saying, your other passions in life become your subjects.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. All right. So the second thing, obviously, we're going to include the photography for photographers, but those of you who are not, then this still applies. It's there may be some changes, of course, but it's, what is it that how are you expressing yourself? And in this instance, photography, what do you want to do in photography? Using any list that you want. I've just listed a whole bunch of things here. So using the checklist provided, choose every type of photography that you have an interest in. It's fine to have a whole bunch that you choose. That's going to change because we have other steps to take after this. But you can use this and you can, add in your own. But circle the things that you like, that you would do if someone says, do you photograph weddings? Do you photograph quinceañeras? Do you photograph business events or charity events? Anything that you think, yeah, I would do that, circle it. That's the first step. You can see a whole bunch of things in here. Lots of different things. Obviously, this is a short list of things you can do. You can express yourself with whatever medium you have for your art. Lots of different ones. Circle the ones you'd have an interest in. Add in your own. For some of you, there's going to be a lot of things you add in on your own. For others, there might not be any. Maybe everything you thought of is here. But we're going to narrow our options. Narrow down. You know what? Before I do that, let me talk about a couple of these. General portraiture, on location portraits, in studio portraits. Obviously, these things can be done either by photographers or painters or lots of different mediums that you can do many of these things with. There's not a whole lot here for sculptors, but there's still things that are here. On location portrait versus in studio portrait. You may have one that you prefer more than the other, but which one would you do? Which one do you have an interest in? And maybe both, maybe every single thing on here. And I had a studio up until COVID decided I didn't need it. And I was at the same location for 17 years. But even still, almost all of my family portraits were on location, even with a studio. I think it's interesting. A lot of people say, well, I wish I had a studio. It would make all the difference in the world. Maybe. We need to define who you are and what type of photography we need to do, and then decide whether it's actually the right tool for you. It's just too soon to actually know. By the way, those Robin or Alyssa, uh, what kind of photography? Tell me in the chat what kind of photography you enjoy. What types of subjects do you like to work with? I'm curious.
And there's a lot of other things too on there, Jim, like I know for artists, we're always looking for photographers that can document their work. And those
Mhm.
can be from small, paintings to large murals. Kevin Saunders, who you've had on Photo SA, I would kill to get a hold of his gear so I could shoot such nice details of murals that he has, because I've seen his skyline photos and they're beautiful, and the detail that he picks up on those are amazing. And I think a lot of things came out too, also out of COVID. We had these interesting family portraitures that were in front of the house with the photographers almost mid-street doing this kind of thing. I had several friends that did some of those through Southtown, and people sat in front of their homes and they did either formal setup and then the casual stuck at home photos. And those were some really neat portraits to see. And I think in history, they may go down later as just something neat for the COVID experience. But I also
Yes.
think the photographers do a great job when they create an experience with the portraits. I've done one with Roy Varga, who's out of California, I believe, and he travels all over the United States with bookings. He does more the kind of the classic car shows. So he works with different makeup artists in different cities that do the pinup girls. And he does the cars and the girls, and he gets the whole thing and he creates, and the sets are elaborate. He brings those with him. And, really, I did one, not even so much wanting to be in the picture. If I could have done it, was like, can I just work with you that day? I just wanted to see how he did his setups because I really love his photography. And when you get in there and you start doing a session with him, you learn also it's his photo editing skills, what he does in Photoshop with the photos, and that gives him that one-up element. And of course, you end up buying a whole bunch of his stuff because it's just
Nice.
let's see, you got your comments there. If you want to read those off, what kind of
Yeah, it looks like neither one of you has an interest in weddings. And those who do have an interest in weddings, more power to you. Those are they're one-time events. There's no do-overs. There's no spending a little bit of extra time with something. You have to go with the flow of that wedding. So if that's the kind of thing you enjoy, wonderful. We need people who feel that that is fantastic. That is their love. We need those artists in the world. But if you aren't one of those who feels that way, some of us feel like weddings are too stressful. Anybody here agree with that? Yep, I know because Alyssa just said it. And Robin says, I agree. And Melissa says, I agree. Weddings are, I mean, they're awesome. They're fantastic. There's nothing wrong with those who do it. We just not all feel like it's our thing. I thoroughly enjoyed weddings when I photographed them, and I photographed about 300 of them before I stopped doing them. I attempted to stop doing them in 2013 by effectively raising my prices. I really didn't raise my price. I just took the prices that I had, and instead of having packages, I added everything together into one package. And so it looked like I had raised my price. But if you add up everything that I had available for sale, and it's kind of like if you go to the grocery store and say, give me one of everything. I mean, no one ever does that. But that's what I chose to do. I thought it would cause less attention, less people wanting to work with me, and I could slow down the weddings. And the reason I chose to slow down the weddings is because weddings took me an average of 74 hours from the first phone call to the delivery of the album. And so it's just a lot of time commitment. And I felt like I need to put that onto the teaching side of things. That's what I enjoy more. And so I decided, well, I'm going to effectively raise the price. Again, it actually didn't raise the price. It just made it look like that, to 12,000. That was when I added all the stuff up that I did. If you wanted one of everything, again, no one ever wanted one of everything, but that would be 12,000. So I was a one package wedding photographer. And for some reason, this is 2013, for some reason that increased the attention, not decreased. You'd think that having a ridiculously high price, and by the way, that's not the most expensive price in this area. We're in San Antonio, Texas. That's not the most expensive photographer in San Antonio, not even in 2013. So don't be thinking, oh wow, he was the most expensive. Nope, never been the most expensive. Been kind of maybe above average, but not the most expensive. My prices are based on my goals, so it doesn't matter. I don't really care what other people charge. It is a curiosity though. But I raised it to that 12,000, and it increased the number of people who are interested. Increased the number of people interested. Now there's more to the story than that. And because this class isn't about that, I'm not going to tell you the whole story because it might take me a while to tell it. But bottom line is I got better clients as a result. Before I got complainers, a lot of them, not everybody, but with lower prices, people that have that lower amount to spend are really going to be paying attention to everything because they're trying to squeeze everything out of every single dollar that they can. I mean, don't we all do that? Don't you want a good deal when you go to the grocery store? A good deal when you buy a car? Yeah, well, of course you do. This isn't a negative. This is just how it is. So they're trying to squeeze every dollar out. Those who have more to spend, or they got more value to spend, they're doing this because they really want it. And so I found that not only did my income increase, but the quality of the people I was working with was more ideal to my version of what would be ideal. The kind of people I want to work with, the kind of people that are happy to work with me, happy to do business my way, happy to pay my price. Now, that doesn't mean that no one said that's a lot, because they did. But how they said it was different. They said, oh man, that's a lot. But it's really what I want. Here's my card. So the complaints were there. They didn't really change as far as quantity, maybe a little bit fewer, but the style of complaint was still handing me their credit card. That's a lot, but I really want this, so let's do it. I think you'd probably like that change. I sure did. So instead of decreasing my work, it maintained, it didn't change. It maintained, maybe even increased. And in 2015, I actually cut it off. I told the people who were answering the phones, that was Robin and somebody else, to just say I don't do it anymore. Refer somebody else. And it was because of time, but also because it's an all-day event, and everything would be hurting by the end of the day. My wrists would be on fire, my back, my legs, my feet. I didn't really think about it much while I was working. I mean, I thought about it, but didn't, because you're focused on something, you're not allowing it to bother you, even though it might. But once you're done, for me, it was when I sat back down into the car, everything would be whoosh, all of a sudden. And all of a sudden I would be tired, and I'd have to sit there a little while before I actually drove away. And so I got to the point where I also was saying, I'm not going to hurt for just anybody. I'm going to have to really like you. So that was my take on that one. But while I did enjoy weddings, I did gain a lot of positive energy from it. It was family portraits that I really liked the most, because I see this on people's walls, something that they can enjoy every single day. The album that I might create for a wedding might sit on the coffee table for a little while until they realize the dog likes the leather, and then it's not there all the time anymore. The family portrait's there for them to enjoy all the time, and that's what I wanted. I asked a guy who does ice sculpture years ago, and 97, I think. I said, I appreciate the work that you do. It's beautiful. It's amazing. But it melts away. I want people to be able to enjoy the art that I create for the rest of their life. how does that make you feel that what you create just melts away? And for him, that was what brought him joy. He liked that because maybe it increased. I can't remember his reaction or his response, because it was a little bit too long ago. But he was saying that he loves that. He likes the anticipation. He likes for it to go away so that he can build something new, kind of like the Phoenix. And so he had just a different take on it. It was just as passionate as my take on what I like to do. That to me is ideal. When we look at our work that way and we pursue what it is that we enjoy, not just because of the dollars, but because we are genuinely motivated to the point where we would actually do it for free, but we like the money. It's a good tool to take care of some other things. Like, I like having electricity. I like water. I like being indoors. I like having a place for my stuff. I like having a car. I like having insurance for all those things. Oh, is that Melissa?
I like food.
Food. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. It's a lot of photographers who are foodies.
Yeah. Well, that ice sculpture does live a little longer because I'm sure you photographed it.
That's
too.
true.
So
That's very true.
It's like I said, what was it called? Performance art and temporary art that goes up. Photography helps it really live on. It's kind of a collaborative work.
I agree. By the way, I think there's sometimes when I use words, and I probably should explain them, like collaborative. It just means you're working with someone else to create. So if I'm doing a family portrait, it's not just me doing the creation, it's them also. They play a role in this. Their role is when we're defining what it is that we're going to do, what clothes we're going to wear. I do my planning in their home so that I can see the wall it's going to go on, so I can create a custom piece for that wall in the size that's appropriate and in the dimensions that's appropriate for that space. And so they play a very strong role in the creation of this art. So that's what makes it collaborative. You're working in collaboration with people other than yourself in order to create this final end result piece of art. So that's where collaborative is, just in case you were curious as to what I meant by that. All right, so if you have your handout, hopefully you've circled a few of those that you enjoy doing, and maybe you've added some more. Now let's narrow those options. So choose what matches your interests. So that's thinking about number one and number two. Number one, where you have a list of things that you have an interest in, that you enjoy, that you love, that's non-photography related. And number two, the things that are photography related. If you can bring those two things together, and you've got something that really works. We photographers are motivated sometimes, and other times we lack that motivation. But if we have two different things that are motivating us, the art side and whatever else our interests are, then when one ebbs and one flows, we always are being pushed by one of them, always. And so it elevates the amount of dedication and passion and energy that we have at any one time. So to me, that works. I want you to, number one, go back to number one. Circle the things that are most important to you. Again, this is the non-photography related things or non-art related things. Then I want you to go back a second time to that list and star the ones that you just simply cannot live without. And then reevaluate and confirm the ones you can't live without, and then write them here. If you have the handout, write them down here. Second thing, go through that list of things that you like to create art with. So confirm the ones, it's the same process, but this time it's with your art, the things your medium, the things you enjoy creating. So portraits or landscapes, whatever it is that gets your attention. Which ones could you not live without? Write them down. Now, this is easier said than done. But one way you could do this is by, once you have circled all the ones that you want to do, You could take a pair of scissors and cut them all out, one at a time, one little strip, fold them up, put them in a bowl, mix up the bowl. Now, I am going to, figuratively, of course, pull out one of those that you said you wanted, and you can never do it again in your entire life. But before I pull out my one, I want you to pull out a safe one to make it impossible for me to take it away from you. Whichever one you pulled out, that's your true passion. Therefore, I don't need to take one out. I can just shove the bowl away. And you already know now what your main passion is. The one you kept safe so that I couldn't take it. Now, sometimes that aligns very well with your number one. Most of the time it does. At least that's what I found. But if it doesn't, then you do need to consider something that does align with your passions, the things that you enjoy and want out of life, aligning with the art that you create. When we can merge those things together, that's when we can define what your niche is, or niche. Once you have described that one thing, or it could be two, but a very, very small number, I want you to describe why this is your choice. We have to know why. It's one of the things that creatives need. We want to know why. Even if it's not us, we want to know why. Why? This is a question creatives ask. Why is that the way it is? Why are you saying what you're saying? Why do you feel that way? Creatives care about the why. Don't make any assumptions about the why. Define it. Why is this your choice? Specifically, why is this your choice? Take time to do this. I'm not saying to take time to do it at this moment live, but afterwards, take time. Define why this is your choice. Now, once you have defined that, what do you feel the next step is? I mean, knowing what your niche or niche is good. It's really good. But don't you have to do something else? I mean, you can't stop there. Let's talk about why we different reasons why we would want to do such a thing. So let's say you're a photographer who now is doing all kinds of things. If someone says, "Do you photograph?" and before they have told you what it is they are asking about, in your mind you're already saying, "Yes, I do." Then you're chasing dollars. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't make money. I'm saying that you should make a lot of it. You deserve it. You do. If you're telling yourself you don't, I'm telling you you're wrong. You spend a whole lot of time, you put a whole lot of your passion and dedication, years of blood, sweat, and tears into this. Why shouldn't you make a lot of money doing it? By the way, I'm not even going to give you an opportunity to answer that because there's no good reason. You should make a lot of money with your passion, with your art. You deserve it. But it doesn't just happen. We've got to do things to make it happen. A photographer who just says, "Yes, I can do practically anything." And yes, they can. They can press the button in front of anything. But that doesn't make them the best choice. If you were working at a Home Depot or Lowe's, let's say you're at a Lowe's and you're wearing that blue apron, and someone walks in and they say, "You know, I want to know what your best hammer is. Are you going to describe a weed eater to them?" No, because tools matter. You're going to be very specific with what you do. I think it's interesting when someone asks the question on, let's say it's a Facebook group, and says, "You know what? I want to upgrade my camera, or I want to buy a new lens. What's the best lens?" It doesn't bother me them asking that question. It just means they're new. But the photographers who answer that question almost always share that they're pretty darn new too. It would be equivalent to going into Lowe's and walking up to the first person with a blue apron and saying, I saved up enough money to buy a tool. What's the best one you've got? I want that one. That's not how it works. If you were to define what it is that you want before you go into the home, say you're going to build something and you go into that Home Depot or Lowe's, then you can choose exactly the right tools that you need in order to get that job completed. But let's say we do this like most photographers do. We haven't defined our end result. We haven't defined what we want for ourselves. We haven't defined what we feel is ideal for our business. That would be equivalent to going into Home Depot or Lowe's, not knowing what you were about to build. What are the odds that you'll wind up with good tools? Very good. What are the odds you'll wind up with exactly the tools you need to reach your goals? Very bad, because you haven't defined the goals yet. When you define your goals, you give yourself potential to reach them. It's not a matter of just what sounds good. It's not a difference between good and bad. If you're making your decisions on this is good, this isn't good, then you're doing it wrong. You need to make your decisions based on what's good and what's right to help you reach your goals. There's a lot of things that are good that you're going to bypass. And the example that I often give is there's a lot of people who enjoy Starbucks. Let's just say that everyone here watching today loves Starbucks. They think Starbucks is fantastic. And let's say you are 20 minutes outside of downtown, wherever you are. And so you're 20 minutes away and you want to go downtown for whatever reason. So you've defined the goal. Well, as you're driving, you pass by a Starbucks, you think, hey, that's good. I'm going to go to Starbucks. Starbucks is good if you think it's good. Let's just say that you do. Starbucks is good. You stop by and you get yourself whatever your mocha frappuccino latte, half calf, whatever. You get that and it feels good because it is good. But we don't know whether it's right or not because we haven't defined one more thing. Because we have to define not only the destination, the end result, but we also have to define a timeline. If I say I have to get downtown within 20 minutes and I'm 20 minutes away, Starbucks is still good. That doesn't change. But was it the right choice in order to reach your goals? No, it wasn't. So you must define your goals, your end result, both personal and business. You must define a timeline. When do you want these things to occur in your life? And then we have to have a plan to get us there, a path. It makes it real easy to say no, even to the good things, because you know specifically what it is that you're after, what it is you're trying to accomplish. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, and that applies with art as well, if you define like you want to be selling paintings at whatever price point by what do you have to do, to do that. Same thing with photography. If you I have several friends that do kind of I want to say tourist photography, like the Alamo things, and they sell they diversify their photography into cards, pillows, sell them at gift shops. They want this much return by the end of the summer season. So knowing what they have to have in and how many card places that they got to have these in to get that, that makes a lot of sense. And the same thing goes for people with the artist background. If you decide this is what you want to do, you kind of do. You have to plan, like, how many shows am I going to have to sell it? If that's how you're doing, you have to decide, I guess, what your point of sale is. Is it going to be online booking or online sales, or, either or, whatever you're doing, photography or art. And having those goals does it, like you're saying, it kind of, if for those of us who are into it, it manifests what you want to get to. And having the
Right.
plan kind of gets you there.
Yeah. Makes it a whole lot quicker. It makes you a whole lot happier. Those photographers who are struggling, it's because they don't have their goals set, not specifically enough, and they don't have a timeline, and they don't have a path to get to their goals. If they're struggling, that's what struggle is. You're not struggling if you know the direction you're heading. If you take advice, there's a lot of good advice out there, like pound the pavement, get out there and drive. There's a lot of driving related advice. The secrets to success. Getting out there and pounding the pavement, getting out there and driving, getting out there and going for it. It's not that that's bad advice. It's that it's not specific enough. Because a road is a good thing to get on because it's quicker than walking. Getting in a car and driving down the road is quicker than walking. So therefore, yeah, it's good. But what happens if my goal was to get 1 mile from here, wherever here is? Let's say you're in San Antonio, a mile from downtown, and your goal is to get a mile downtown. You're on I-10, which goes right through San Antonio. What happens though if you went west instead of east? Let's say you were west of downtown, and you didn't have a direction. You just knew that getting out on the road, giving it all you've got, if you work hard enough, you'll gain something. If my goal is to get downtown and I'm a mile away, but I'm west of town, if I happen to get on the road, because I haven't defined where I'm going, I've just gotten on the road with a lot of gusto, but I head west, I will never reach my goal, no matter how hard I work. You've heard about working smart. Working smart's not just being intelligent, it's defining what the end result is supposed to look like before you get on the road. Most photographers get on the road first, partially because technology allows us to. It's easy to get started, maybe too easy, but not if we do it right. We have to start by defining who we are, what we enjoy, what we want now, what we want later. That's where you start. You don't start off with the mediums, the clients that you want to work with, your prices. These are all important things. They're part of the path. But most of us get out on the road. We use that secret to success. We get out on the road and we work hard. Man, we've been working hard. And for some reason, we keep on struggling. Well, if you're heading the wrong direction, is it any wonder? A person with a good, strong plan has potential to get to where they're going. A person without one doesn't even know where they're going. Problem is, some of them think they do. But it isn't hard from the outside looking in to see that. And it's why I have it's one of the many reasons why I donate a 30-minute free session to anyone who asks for it, to help them out with their business side, their planning side, defining who they are, defining what their business is based on their wants, their goals, their passions, and finding a path to get there, even the price list. By the way, I can tell you how much you're worth per hour as a human. You have a number. You do. And it's not $15 an hour. That's a lot more than that. But I can tell you specifically how much you're worth per hour. Now, most photographers, most artists do not ever charge by the hour. But if you did, I can tell you what your number is. It's a simple math problem. It takes me 20 minutes to get it, but I can tell you what your number is. And it's based on you. It's based on your goals, the things you want out of life. That's what it's based on. It's not based on anything else, not other people. Other people's numbers are irrelevant. They're a curiosity, but it's irrelevant. So, if you guys want, if there's any of you out there that want to take advantage of that, I can put the web address here in the chat. Let me do that real quick. Let's see, 30 minutes, copy link. Paste. So that link is a free private session. And I call it a business assessment consultation. It's a partial business assessment consultation. The actual business assessment consultation takes me about 2 hours. This is 30 minutes, so it's definitely an abbreviated one. But if you want to know how much you are worth, I can tell you. And it's just numbers. There's no feelings involved. It's irrelevant. Feelings are irrelevant when it comes to numbers. No matter how much you feel that 4 is not the right answer for 2 + 2, it doesn't change the fact that it still is 4. Feelings just don't play a role in the math environment. I'm curious how much you're worth. If you are, click that button and I'll be happy to, that or something else. It's a private session, do whatever the heck you want with it. As long as it's something that benefits you and helps you down the path that leads to your goals. So I don't want to just talk about the weather. Unless you want to photograph clouds. Alyssa mentioned that she likes clouds, so I do too. So by the way, I'll be photographing some clouds, hopefully maybe even some lightning in Colorado. James said he's going to California next week. I'm going to Colorado. I'm teaching a workshop in Colorado. That's the reason I'm going. And Strike Finder. You know what? Let me show you that real quick. You guys, hang on a second. Strike Finder has sent this with us. It's a tool that you can use to photograph lightning. You just put it on your flash hot shoe on top of your camera and connect it to your camera. And when lightning happens, it creates a photograph. You're just ready to go. You preset the focus and your settings, and it creates that photograph for you of the lightning. So you never have to worry about missing the shot. It takes care of it for you. Yeah, pretty cool tool, Strike Finder. And it's the owners live here in San Antonio. And then once you have that beautiful image of lightning, then go to finerworks.com and get it printed on metal, aluminum. Oh, it's gonna look fantastic. You're gonna fall in love with it. Oh man. All right, sorry about going off on that tangent. I'm just excited about doing that. All right, any thoughts or comments or questions about discovering your niche, about reaching your goals, about defining them?
I have a question, if I can chime in.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole saying no thing, I don't know why this lines up so perfectly. This week I accepted something that I should have said no to, but that's okay. I think for me, one question or thought is how do you say no in a way that still keeps other people happy? Or is there a way you say no, no, I don't do this, but I know X, Y, and Z person does? Because I think that's one thing that makes me in my heart, I'm I don't want to say no because you need this service, but it's if I can't provide it right, why would I do it?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Did you ask a question? I missed the question. Or did you make a statement?
Both, I think. I don't know. I think the main question is how do you say no?
Okay. When you
answer, I think that's the question.
Prior to doing a good job of defining who you are and where you want your business to be, it's actually really difficult to say no, because you have strong feelings attached to that. You don't want to disappoint someone. You don't want to make them feel bad. You want to accommodate them. You want them to be happy. And so saying no in that instance actually is difficult. And we creatives want people to like what it is we create. We have an emotional connection to things we create. Even our own price list, we have an emotional connection to. We're weirdos. So isn't that true? The thing that changes, though, is it becomes very clear and easy to say no once you define where it is you're going. It'd be the equivalent of going down the road heading towards El Paso, and you have to get to El Paso within X period of time, and it's exactly the amount of time you need. Adding in maybe a stop for filling up with gas a time or two, and using the restroom and getting a bite to eat, but exactly the amount of time you need to get there. Will it be easy, yes or no, to say no, to say yes or no to turning and going over to Big Bend? It would be an easy no, because I have to get there. I'm going there for a photography assignment or whatever it is. I'm going there for something specific. It's very easy to say no when you have a very specific goal in mind. When you're driving from point A to point B and you have to be there at a certain time, it's real easy to say no to doing other things, only because you defined the end result. If you find it hard to say no, it for me is a red flag that you're, I hope you don't feel like I'm saying anything negative about you, because that's not the goal here. The goal is general. If you feel it's hard to say no, it's usually because we haven't defined the end result, at least not well enough. How you feel about that?
No, yeah, that makes sense. I think it was something that it came up and I was like, that's not something I've done. Maybe we should try it, but now I'm just like, it's not something I really am. I think the main thing that made me realize I should have said no is that I'm not excited about it. And if I'm not excited about it, I don't want to do it. So.
For curiosity purposes, every once in a while, maybe do that kind of thing. And it's, I wouldn't make it the part of the business plan, because it causes us to be the inflatable flailing tube man, where we go off and try different things just because, ooh, that sounds good. Ooh, that sounds good. Let's do that. Every once in a while, do that. Be silly, but have intention for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I've done that too.
Yeah, I agree with Jim, Melissa, because I do have a couple of artists that will tell people I am not a portrait artist. I do not do portraits. I mean, I love someone. He's like, if they ask me, I'm going to give them something kind of herring, just an outline, and here you go. It's your outline, and you're a stick figure looking dude, and that's if you want to pay me, $5,000 for that, then we can do it, but this is my style.
Yeah.
And I think with artists, like I said, y'all define your style. You really do. Like I said, you can pick out, just like I said, mentioning the photographers, looking, when you see a Warhol, you know the styles, particularly. So like I'll even get people who request from some of the artists, can somebody paint me something that looks a lot more like a pop art piece by Andy Warhol? And it's, and I get it, but it's like at the same time, when you're asking somebody who is doing, let's say, Bluebonnet Fields, that they may not produce the end result that person wants. So saying that, especially if you, with an artist of network, an artist with, if you have a network of photographers as well, which, whichever media you're in, and you do have suggestions, like, I may not be the one to get that exact detail that you want, but I do know this artist can create great pieces. Same thing with photography. I have all of us that seems to have cameras. Everybody in your family just thinks you're going to shoot like the best wedding pictures ever. I hated doing that. I used to do journalistic photography and band photography. I would go photograph events for our university. That could have been sports. It could have been the president of the university giving a speech. And then I liked my stuff at night, which was like doing live band reviews and shooting the bands on stage. But then I always had family and friends that would ask me, can you shoot our wedding? oh my God, I don't like shooting weddings at all. Like we were talking about earlier, they are stressful. It's probably one of the most stressful days in some people's lives on top of everything. So you don't want to be in that. But I mean, to catch certain, I guess, iconic ideas that they have of the wedding they want, the wedding bands on the hands, I'm just not, it's not my everyday thing where there's people who can paint a portrait and kick it out in a couple of days. And there's another person who's telling, they want me to do a hyper realistic portrait, but it's going to take me a couple of years. I got to find the skills to get to that point to do that. I'm not going to be able to create that. So no matter what you're in, photography or art, like Jim is saying, you can define it. It makes it easier to say no. And you can always show your portfolio. Would you be happy with something like this? Would you be happy with something like this? And if they say no, then I feel like what you were saying, suggesting somebody that you have in your network is a great way to do that.
That's my dog dreaming. Can you hear that?
Yeah, he hasn't started snoring.
He's totally asleep.
How funny.
His feet are moving. I don't know. He's chasing a rabbit or something. I'm not sure.
Oh, go on, Jim.
So those are good examples, and I appreciate that comments and thoughts, Alyssa. I appreciate that. Robin, you and I know this because you and I have talked several times about what you want to do, families and children.
Yes.
Anything, families and children is specific. Is there something even more specific that you're after? For instance, maybe a certain style or a certain type, like there's people who like doing family portraits but like doing destination, or maybe there's people who like doing weddings but like doing destination weddings. So is it anything, are there some more specifics about what it is that you're trying to do?
Probably a more natural family interaction style, and probably more outdoors than studio type.
Okay.
Because of course I do love nature and landscape, so that can kind of combine some of that sort of, not probably like distant destinations. Of course, that would be great if they wanted to pay me to go somewhere. Really exciting. But anyway, that's probably it generally.
So someone asked me one time for a wedding, if I photographed the I should have been asked this question a bunch of times, but as far as the couple only once, will you go with us on the honeymoon, photograph the honeymoon? And I'm thinking, what do you mean by that? They said, like everything. So, the hotel room, and I was like, oh, I know, I'm not going to do that. And they didn't actually mean that. That's not what she meant. As soon as she said it, she's like, oh, that's not what I meant. Oh gosh. She's like the stuff, the room, that just the hotel room, not us in the room. I mean, us walking along the beach and that kind of thing. We did wind up doing part of it, but that really wasn't what I did. And I'm trying to remember that, so long ago. But there's a lot of different specific things that you can do. So you mentioned just lifestyle, meaning as they're doing what it is that they do. So let's say they go to the park on Saturdays. So maybe you'd hang out with them while they're swinging on the swings or going down the slide, or.
Yeah, not sure if I do quite just the lifestyle thing. A little more posing or getting together, not completely just taking pictures of them running around and trying to catch them together. Not quite that. Is that what you call a lifestyle or something? Photographer portraits? I don't know. I mean, it might throw some of that in there, but I would also try to do just a more relaxed get together kind of portrait, not them running all over the place.
Is that a puppy behind you?
Okay.
Oh, it's a cat.
A cat. Okay. Sorry.
I like this. I like this version with all the animals in it. It's great. But yeah, I was thinking, Robin, too. There's like interesting photography. I mean, that's a great thing about working at Finer Works. I've been able to see so much photography, so much art. And I've seen where people have taken really nice antique couches out to the middle of fields and have had the family posed on those. And I thought, well, that's actually clever. Sometimes where they've incorporated, again, kind of a farm looking place with maybe the old, Apache truck sitting back there and little overalls on the kids and stuff like that. And I've seen so many great photographs like that. And
Yeah.
again, when I could think that's part of the photographer's, the artistic appeal of the photographer, when y'all are able to create those backgrounds, I think photographers do an amazing job at, like I said, kind of you're creating a whole experience and it's getting caught.
Right.
And that's
Right.
always really good. So there's so many, and like if you look back at some of Jim's other photo tips monthly, when we were talking about, having your photography pay for your vacations. I mean, that's something too. Call up a hotel wherever you plan to go and see if you can set up a couple of if they're on a beachfront, see if you can get some, that right when dusk is coming kind of thing, get some nice pictures and get some people booked and get some photos done. And like I said, there's some touring photographers that do that. And like I said, Roy Vargas, one off the top of mind that I can think of, it does it very successfully. He tours around, and I mean, how nice he gets to go to his hot rod shows and gets to check out another city um and it's all paid for, and he has them all pre-booked. Everything's always pre-booked and prepaid, so he
That's
knows when.
great.
I know I mean, I got onto his newsletter after my first thing, and I'm like, you know what, I really want to see how this set looks. I might do another one. It's fun getting in with the makeup, especially if you work with somebody who does hair and makeup, a stylist that can help a family that's like me. Like I mean, literally it would be like, can I just show up in sandals and shorts? This is me every day. So, but having somebody you work with, like a makeup artist and stuff like that or a stylist that helps them, you tell them, bring out a couple, everybody have like a white button up shirt and bring that up and pair of jeans. Something to help them, kind of get that look. Because that's one thing, again, that artistic eye that people pay for that all of us don't really have.
Yes, to be a little unique, a little different.
Yeah, I remember Sears portrait studios. So families and
Yeah.
kids replacing rugs like no tomorrow because everybody wants to shake the baby to make them laugh and throw them on the rug. So it's doesn't work. It doesn't work well. But like I said, I did Jim thing. I think I did Fiesta, Texas while you did SeaWorld, Jim. So I did front gate photo when I first started getting paid for something with photography.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there. Now I have a question that's coming up on our YouTube from Johnny, and I think this can also speak into niche, Jim, and you can let me know kind of the media you print on to offer your packages. Does that also, like we were talking about the metal, Johnny is saying that he prints often on canvas and was wondering if you had a rule of thumb on printing metal versus acrylic.
Oh,
And
metal versus acrylic.
I think James can jump on it too, but I'll let you kind of give your thing as a photographer, and I'll kind of say something I think from just
Sure, yeah.
photography.
Man, as a photographer, I feel like the creation tells me what it's supposed to be. That in combination with the end result location that it's supposed to be in. So that's why I do my planning sessions in the home of the person I'm creating the family portrait for. So it's, any photographer can show up on a beautiful Saturday morning at a beautiful location and create images that they can be happy with. Everybody can do that. But most photographers want to stand out from the crowd. That's what the crowd does. So I think I have to do more than that. And so I go to their home and I plan it in their home. I'm looking at the walls and we're defining which wall this image is going to go on. And in defining the wall, I know whether it's a horizontal or a vertical. I know whether it's really wide or really tall. You know, I created one time that was a photograph that was going above an archway door, and there wasn't a lot of the image had to be very, very wide, much more wide than normal. But if I didn't go and see the space that it's going to be displayed in, I couldn't have created for that unless I was just to get lucky. Well, I'm not there to get lucky. The neighbor could have photographed them and gotten lucky with a photograph. I got to do more than what the neighbor could have done. And so I go and I see what it's going to be, and the location where it's going to be displayed tells me its size, proportion, whether it's a horizontal or vertical, and it tells me what material I print on. By the way, for family portraits, it's almost always canvas. But it just depends, and that's me. Get a different artist, you're going to get a different answer. But there was one home where I actually felt like metal for their family portrait was right, but only once did I ever come across metal as being the right choice, and it was because they had a very minimalistic museum style home, and everything was the walls were concrete gray, and so this just felt right for the space that it was going to go into. But that only happened once. You know, out of all the many portraits that I've created over the years, I've created well over 100,000 portraits over the years. But it's just, for me, it's rare to have something that is metallic or acrylic. But if I did other types of art, I guarantee that number would increase. It's probably because it's families, and that just, you know, works well with families. That's the choice. That was the choice most of the time.
Yeah, and I mean, James actually had to get going, so but I'll actually ask him to jump in with some more on this. But me viewing a lot of customers' work, and he does, Johnny does landscape here. What I see, what I think looks really great when we do the, and if you go to Finer Works and you go there, you'll see HD metals and dye bond metals. So the HD metal, again, we're saying the gloss. I usually, if I want the whites to come out white and no silver in the background, I suggest the white gloss HD metal for photography if you really want the true white to show. And I think images that have high contrast do really, really well on that metal. And really the acrylic, I think also because of the gloss on it, anything with high contrast, because of that glossy coating on both of them, they tend to do really well. And it becomes preference. And that's at the point, like when you're saying, okay, you know, does everybody like chocolate cake? Not everybody likes chocolate cake. I think it's the best thing in the world, but somebody else may not like it. So I suggest, Johnny, is maybe doing, get a high contrast print that you have, maybe like with landscape. Jim, would that be maybe a landscape at a daybreak and sundown? Would that give you more of the contrasty shot then during that time, that golden hour that we talked about, the magic hour?
That's a good example. Yeah.
Okay, that contrast for landscape, Johnny, I would suggest if you would take a sample print like that and maybe get one done and really see which you like better. Kind of like, do you like the taste of this chocolate cake? And see if the acrylic or that comes out. And I think, you know, being somebody, a photographer that offers, I wouldn't say exclusively, but if you have that option of making, maybe sometimes going big on some of those pieces, and having those available and looking at different ways to make them, again, part of your signature, as maybe you do those maybe with standouts, which I love standouts on the metal because I like it kind of having this floating effect from the wall when I look at photography.
Those are cool.
So yeah, I think that's what my thing with the acrylics and stuff like that. And canvas, like I said, with landscape, that's the great thing about it. I mean, canvas is opening. I mean, it's just pretty diverse to a lot of different shots you can take. You can do those landscapes on canvas. They do look great because it is almost like a painted view on there. But yeah, whatever contrasty shots that you have of your landscape, if you do something like Jim's going to do with lightning, metal and acrylic, I think either or you can't go wrong with a shot like that on either of those media. They just pop on there. It's just a different application process. This again, HD metal gloss is going to be a dye sub where the print is done inverted basically, and it's heated onto the metal and cured there. The acrylic process is a little different, and I would have to have James kind of explain that one a little bit better than I do, because I stay with the metal. But I suggest that. We do offer the dye bomb metal, which is kind of a brushy kind of look into it. So I would stay with the HD metal white gloss for anything like that you want to do. And I think you'll like that, Nick. So you can order an acrylic one and kind of give yourself a side by side. And again, that part will become your preference. Let me see. Let's see. He's printed canvas. Wow, 17 by 48. Those are good sizes. And he shoots a lot of fall in Colorado and the Smokies. Oh, those are beautiful. Those on bright light, when you hit those, metal's going to look gorgeous on those, Johnny. So yeah, you'll have to share some of those pictures with us on your Instagram or something if you want to put hashtag we do it as the photo tips monthly. Even on that, I think we'll just hashtag photo tips monthly, and we'd love to do those. Anything else? I'll let you go ahead and try to wind that down. Jim, we got a few minutes.
I just put in, for those of you here on Zoom, I just put in the chat the hashtag photo tips monthly. If you hashtag your images with anything, it helps for being able to search for what it is that you did. So I'll know about it because I'll enter in a search for photo tips monthly to see who's interacting with that. So that'll help me see it. That'll help Melissa see it. But by the way, it's a marketing tip for your business. Do a hashtag with your name, with the name of your business, with the type of work that it is, a family portrait, a wedding, whatever it is, so that it's just easier to search. So it's certainly an effective marketing tool. And well, I guess this brings us to the close of another Photo Tips Monthly. I want to thank you guys for taking your time to spend time with us here. We do this just because we enjoy doing it, because we want to uplift the artist community. We want you guys to have lots of different thoughts and ideas. We want you to grow. We want to uplift. And so that's why we bring these things at no charge. So it's fun to do. It's something that community-minded people do. And so that's Melissa, that's James, and that's me. And so we do this, but we also, if you believe that what we're doing is a good thing, we also would appreciate sharing it with the people that you know. Social media is an awesome place to share. And so, if you don't mind, in exchange for the hour and a half that we just donated, maybe a quick post on your Facebook page saying, I just watched Photo Tips Monthly, that's put on by hashtag or at finerworks.com and Landers Photography School. And I encourage you guys to watch it too, because it's you do this only if you found benefit. If you don't like this, then don't do that. I want you to be honest. But yeah, that's beneficial to us to have that to share that with the people that you know. So thanks again for being here for another episode of the Photo Tips Monthly. And I look forward to seeing you guys back here again next month. And I don't recall what the topic is.
That'll be our first Thursday, will be before first Tuesday again, and it'll be September 2nd, and that'll be manual mode basics. Can you just give a quick little intro to what that's going to be?
Yeah, I think all of us think that manual mode is going to be is the right thing to do. We have this thought in our mind that you're not a you're not a real artist or you're not a real pro if you're using auto mode. Auto mode's a good mode. If you owned Canon, Nikon, Sony, Fuji, if you owned one of those, wouldn't you keep auto mode on there? Yeah, because it opens up the number of people who can buy your product. But you lose control when you allow the camera to make decisions for you, or in its smart mode, you like my air quotes. I don't think it's smart at all. And the more you learn about photography, the more you realize that auto mode is the least creative mode available on a camera. And we creatives, we want creative. We want to be able to create what we want, our vision. So the more you learn about what the tools have the ability to do, the more things you're able to do. And by the way, you will never know everything that the tools can do. There's always more to learn. I've been studying photography since 1975. And I bet that I feel like there's still more to learn than most photographers do. Because the more you study it, the more you realize if you learn a little bit more into this direction, that there's a bunch of stuff coming off of it that you can learn. It always expands into something more, always. You'll never know all there is to know. So I definitely recommend spending time, even if you use manual mode all the time. I might say something in a different way that causes you to see it slightly different. It might open up something that's just refreshing. And I do, when I talk about manual mode basics, it's totally different than the way I learned it, because I like sharing it in a different way, because I actually feel like it's the better way. But then again, why would I share it if I didn't feel that? So I like sharing what I feel is the best way. I don't think that the other modes are bad. I think they're fine. I think they're awesome. I just feel like the more you learn about photography, the more you're going to want to take control over the tools that you have available. There's over 100,000 combinations of tools available on your camera. Guess how many of them you get when your camera's in auto mode? Two. That doesn't sound good at all. No, it sounds horrible to me. So yeah. The next one is manual mode basics, and it probably is in at least parts of it are in a way you've never heard it before. So I definitely encourage you to take advantage of that. That's September 2nd, Thursday, September 2nd, for Photo Tips Monthly Manual Mode Basics.
Okay, I mean, always thank you for doing these. We appreciate your time on getting this, and thanks to everybody who watched. We're glad we got about 1,000 subscribers now on our channel. We appreciate all of you hitting that subscribe button and commenting on here. So again, thank you so much. Finer Works also has just released a new product called textured prints. So I think if you go onto our website, the example that they have on is actually a photograph. It's great for artists who want to show brushstroke, but photographers, the example on there is a photograph of a lizard with the scales, a very high detailed photo of the lizard, and you're able to give rise. So adding texture to maybe your photographs might be another thing that you can do to be signature on the prints that you offer. So take a look at those and see if those are anything you would like to look at. Those would be on dye bond metal. For right now, we might have something else coming out soon, but we're starting with dye bond metal prints with the textured look to it. So check that out. And we're glad again that you were able to join us, and we'll see you guys next month.
Thanks, guys.
Right.
Glad you're here.
Thank you.
And Jim, I'll let you end the call.
All right.